Sweet, I'm here with my good friend Joseph. He's one of the bodybuilders of the gym, easily one of the best physiques here in the gym. He's going to run me through some basic posing today.
So today we're going to be working on quarter turns. Basically, we're going to be working on front relaxed, right quarter turn, rear relaxed, left quarter turn, and then we will do a little bit of introduction on the front lat spread. So generally, when we're setting up for a front relaxed, we always work from the ground up, right? Anytime we're posing, and it doesn't matter what pose we're doing, we always want to lock in from the feet and stack to the knees, to the hips, to the core, and so forth, right? Reason being is because 9 times out of 10, when you're on stage, or even if you're just posing for a video, you're going to forget your legs. It just happens, even with some experienced guys. 2 reasons why. Legs are the hardest thing to hold. They're the hardest thing to pose, keep tight, and I also believe it has to do with the mental connection of not seeing them as much. For example, like when we do a front double bicep or even a front lat spread, which tends to be one of the harder ones, we can see what's going on with our bodies a little bit. So I believe that it makes it a little bit easier to hit those muscular contractions and get set. So again, as I said, we're starting from the floor up. What I like to do is I like to keep my feet close together. I like to picture I'm inside of a 12-inch tile, if you will, right? So you're thinking your 12-inch tile box is going to be your basis for all your poses. Generally, when we line up, if I was in it, my feet would be halfway over the line of the tile, right? So it would basically run from the knuckle of my big toe straight back. From that point, I'm going to come up on the ball of my toe just slightly to where it feels like my heel is unpressurized from the ground. Then I'm going to tighten my calves and I'm going to pretend like I'm sliding my feet away from one another. That's going to engage my quads and my legs. Once I'm here, I'm going to leave a slight bend in my knee. Not so great that I'm like this, which I see a lot of. We don't want to do that. We still want to be straight but soft locked. That's going to allow that slight bend in the knee for the definition to show in the thighs. Of course, I'm not lean enough to show that right now, but further on in prep, hopefully we'll do some videos and you guys will see some cool stuff. As I was saying before, we're locked in from the toes to the knees. Now we're pressing outward. Our quads are engaged. Next thing I'm going to engage is my glutes. I'm going to squeeze my glutes nice and tight. That's going to set my hip line. Then from there, I'm going to take my core, pull it up, slight vacuum, not a full vacuum, just pulling my rib cage up. As you can see, this already almost sets me in the front relaxed. From this point, all I need to do, I'm pulling my lats back and I'm opening up my shoulder griddle and setting my arms on top of my lats. From this point, this should be where your front relaxed is. You don't want your arms too high or too low. We don't want to flex the chest and bring the shoulders up. We want to leave the chest relaxed and push the lats out towards the wall. Basically, I'm trying to take my elbows and almost force them to the wall. And I'm going to lift my rib cage as high as possible and keeping my chin high.
How am I doing here, Joseph?
So I'm going to take a step away. So I want you to lift your chest even more so and pull this in tighter. There. Chin up a little higher, and we're going to actually twist the arm forward a little bit. And that should be your standard front relaxed. That's not bad at all. Lift up even more so. Good.
So right away, the front relax is not relaxed at all.
It's not. So that's one thing that you have to understand about these poses. When you hear guys talk about their quarter turns and your front relaxed, that's why we're going to make this a series, because there is a lot of in-depth stuff just in your quarter turns, right?
Okay.
So even though we're front relaxed, we're still tight. So you see, up on the toes, forcing outward, squeezing the glutes, locking and pulling up. And we really want to pull up through the rib cage. That's what's going to make the waistline nice and tight. That's beautiful, Adam. Perfect. Now from this, we're going to do a quarter turn, our first quarter turn. And this is another thing that I must stress. During your transitions, you don't want to let your body go, right? Because you'll see guys go from this and then they'll... That is not what we want to do, right? We want to pretend like we're in some kind of military-esque type stuff, right? Where you see them when you see them, right, they have their guns or whatever and they do their quarter turns, it's boom, boom, boom. You know, we are straight, we are locked in the whole time. So if we're in that front relax, the judge is going to tell you, quarter turn to your right. What you're going to do, keeping your upper body in that front relax, you're going to step out with this foot, pivot, stay tight. You saw me let my belly go a little bit a minute. You want to keep this in. Gut control is so important. From this point, we're here. We're going to step. We want to step just slightly forward past the foot. Reason being is because what I'm going to do here, now I'm going to relax. So what I'm doing here is I'm smashing my legs together. What this does is this lets me use my back knee to push my hamstring out. Okay? And this is going to be important in a lot of poses when you do like your side tricep or your side chest pose, because that's what's going to let your hamstring hang. But in your standing relax or your quarter turn side standing relax, we want just slightly in front, so your big toe is going to be where your knuckles at on the inside foot. And you're basically taking this leg, smashing it against this leg, just slightly behind it, so we can push your hamstring out a little bit, right? From there, again, we're building up from the floor. My legs are tight. I'm pressing them together so my quads are tight. I'm gonna pull up just like I'm in my front relax. I'm gonna pull that belly up. I'm gonna squeeze those glutes. And then I'm going to do a rolling motion. I'm gonna roll this shoulder back. And as it sets, I'm gonna roll this shoulder forward.
Okay.
We're always looking this way. So head's always straight if you're on stage. Now I'm explaining it to you, so I'm looking over towards the camera, but I want to end up generally right here.
Okay.
Smashing, everything's tight. This is pulled. This hand slightly out in front. I'm using this to kind of push my pec forward, and I'm lifting.
I might need you to take me through that quarter turn a little bit.
I will. I'm going to do a slight demonstration so you can see it.
Sweet. Okay, cool.
Without me explaining. So if I was here, I'm front relax, and the judge will say, quarter turn to your right. And that's your set.
Okay.
So let's get you in standing relaxed side first, then I'll take you through the transition.
Okay.
So face sideways first.
Okay, so
What I
start
want
that
you
way.
to do is front foot, yes,
A little
knuckle.
bit.
You're going to smash this leg into this leg, so this one's going to be a little forward. Squeeze your glutes. You're going to pull that belly in as if we're lifting the rib cage. Hand's going to come about 45 degrees out in front of you. Then push that chest, lift up, and then you're going to roll this shoulder back, so you're going to have like a slight turn, not super, but just enough to where they can see the width of your shoulder to other shoulder. And then the other arm's going to slightly be bent. You're not going to straighten it because we're not, you know what I mean? We're still standing relaxed. So you should be right about there. And head forward. Lift up your chest a little bit more. Right there. Beautiful. That's your standing relax. Give me a little bit of twist actually, just slightly. Right there. So that way you can see your side profile.
Okay.
So that is where you want to end up in your side quarter turn. So now let's try to go from our front relax to our side.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you build. Good. Squeeze those glutes. Pull up. Hands are forward. Quarter turn to your right. You're going to pivot outward with the foot. And then just pivot. Literally pivot. See up. Slide that foot forward. And then roll it. And set it. Feet closer together. See, and that's going to be hard. You see how hard that is to actually make that transition, to make it happen? So these are things that you need to be thinking about as you're doing these poses. Good. Relax. Actually relax. Yeah. Okay. So, and that's another thing. I forgot to mention that. The judges will say, after a pose, relax. They do not mean relax. They mean back to front relaxed, all right? So like, for example, if I'm here and I'm sideways and I hit a side chest, right? And they're like, okay, relax. I literally turn back and I get back into my front relax.
Wow.
So that is relaxed.
You got to get conditioned for this part, right?
So a lot of bodybuilders do not take their posing seriously. And I have to say that is one of the biggest, most important things that you must do. My first show, when I got ready, I made it a priority to practice posing after training, and I would do 3 rounds of 10 seconds of each pose, meaning 10 seconds of each quarter turn and 10 seconds of 8 mandatories. And I do that 3 times in a row for a total to get 30 seconds, right? What I worked up to was being able to do each one of those poses for 30 seconds for 3 rounds.
Wow.
So at the end of it, I was able to do basically over 10 minutes of posing non-stop. And you want to be able to do that. And the reason is because what they're going to try to do, if it's down to the wire on stage when you're with somebody, the way they're going to try to break you is by posing you guys. And what that does is that does 2 things. It's going to make you either break and sweat, or you're going to lose condition. You're going to start shaking and breathing hard, right? And that will literally be the deciding factor. The other guy might have a better physique, but if you can control your posing like stone, you may take that victory just based on that fact alone. So it is super imperative that these poses are drilled into you, just as important as your training. That's how come bodybuilding in itself is such a selfish sport, and it's a little bit more self-consumed because so much revolves around it, right? So you got your double cardio sessions, for example, when you're in prep. You got your meals when you're in prep that you can eat with your family if you have one, right? So you're spending multiple hours at the gym training and doing cardio. You're eating a certain food. You're going to bed at a certain time, right? You're taking all these supplements. Not only that, then you're practicing posing weekly or daily, you know? So there's a lot that goes involved into.
Real quick, before we get to the next pose, can you take me through that one more time and we can get like a front angle on the camera maybe?
Absolutely. Go ahead and come in front of us, and I'll go ahead and I'll walk through you with it.
All right.
So we'll do it together. So, setting, toes, pushing, up, call it quarter turn to your right, step, remember not too far out front, bring it a little closer in, and relax. So now we're going to go to our rear relaxed, right? Okay. So from that portion, we're here, and it's the same thing. So if we're already here, we're just going to pivot, and it's always at that foot. So it's always with your left foot. We're always quarter turning to the right, right? So that pivot's going to come out to the side here, and we're basically just going to swing, pivot, and step. And at this point, if you're picturing your tile, and what's nice about the stage, they usually have boxes for you guys on the stage, so you're in your box. You should be facing the wall or the curtain of the stage, and it should be the same as if you were facing front. So the line of that tile or box should end up somewhere in that same vicinity, right? You shouldn't move too much. Now, rear poses are so hard, guys. Rear relaxed is probably one of the most overlooked poses because it is a standing relax. But what the things you guys have to understand is during these quarter turns, they're judging your symmetry, they're judging your aesthetics, you know, your flow, your lines. So it's very important that we take these relaxed poses and get the most out of them, because you're setting yourself up for that next round and they're marking you off of all of that, right? So from this one, it's the same thing. Now, since we're facing the curtain, we don't have to focus as much on our frontal plane and the way that it's tight. We're really focused on our posterior chain, right? So again, calves, we're coming up on those toes, so we're making sure those are tight. I mean, you'll see guys sometimes even do this, but don't do that. Just come up slightly, flex the calf.
Okay.
All right. Now, we're not necessarily thinking of pushing away this time. You are slightly, but not to the degree of where you're trying to get the quad degree to show, right? We want to focus on our hamstrings more. So we're still forcing out, but we're really squeezing the glutes and trying to, almost like we're trying to do a hamstring curl like this without doing it, right? So that's what we're focusing on. So there's more actual pressure on the middle of the foot in this one, right? Because I want to feel my hamstrings more than my quads.
So when I do that, I already feel like my knee's bending a little bit.
That's
Is that good?
Okay. We always want, again, we're always going to have that slight knee bend, right? Okay. Because we're going to feel the hamstring tighten, and I can't be straight-legged and tighten my ham. You see what I mean? I need to have that slight knee bend like I'm pulling up a hamstring curl. Okay. So it's going to be more flat-footed than on the ball of the toe, but still up. Pushing out, pulling the hamstrings, squeezing the glutes. This is where the glutes are a little important because obviously they're showing. I'm a fat ass right now, so there's a bunch of wrinkles under there. From here, we're gonna pull back, and it's the same as the front relaxed. You're gonna lift that chest, but what we wanna focus on here is really opening that back and kind of almost setting it down. So do you see how I'm like setting my scapula down a little bit, so that way I can
almost
show my
like
definition.
you're like leaned back just a little bit.
Slightly, yes. Okay, and the reason is that that's a good way to put it. I'm leaned back a little bit because the judges are like this.
So they're looking at it from a
They're
down
looking at it
angle.
from an angle, right?
Okay.
They're not seeing you straight on, right? So
What
and
about
that's another thing why I say go up on your toes slightly, because when you're up on your toes, it's almost like you're over them,
Okay.
right? And that's another thing why I was also saying turn slightly, because if you're straight on, they're seeing you from an angle. You want to turn a little bit so they can see that, right? So these are all things that you're going to go through. But here, we're locked in. Hamstrings are tight. Adductors are tight. Flexing those glutes. And setting those shoulders down and opening up those lats.
Okay. So let me see. How does it look for me here? Let's see.
Open up your feet a little bit more on this one. Not super close to you. There you go.
Okay.
Open them up. Twist them out a little more.
Twist them out like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful. Hamstrings are tight. Calves are tight. Pull like you're going to do a rear lat spread. Yes. Now I want you to, bam, right there. Damn, dude, you have a nice back, Adam. That's really good, bro.
Okay, cool.
That's impressive, dude. Sorry, I'm just like, that's really impressive, bro. No, like seriously, like your back setup, just to go over this, set that pose one more time, please. If you look at this man's back, he has full back development. You have full traps all the way into spinal extensors, lower spinal extensors, lats from the armpit all the way down to the hip bone. Let me roll your shoulders back just a little bit more right there and stay open though. That right there. You see those rhomboids come out a little more right here? Beautiful. Relax. Now we're going to go from that quarter turn into that pose.
Okay.
So we're going to start and then we're going to run it from front all the way to round. All right?
Okay.
So let's start side first. Let me have you get in your side quarter. You're here. Right? And then we're going to quarter turn. Set.
Wow. Okay. So the quarter turn is the same quarter turn that you make from the front to the side.
Always.
Okay.
The quarter turn is just always going to be a pivot and a twist. A pivot and a twist. A pivot and a twist. You're not necessarily moving too much. You're literally circling around in your own spot.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Let's go through that. I'm going to have you go side to rear. I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay. So
set. And I'm going to set you up like I want you. Just so that way. Lock in. Glutes. Pull up. Twist towards me a little bit more. Quarter turn to your right. Pivot out. Swing it. Good. Now you're going to pull those arms back and open up that back. So when you hit that, and do it like this. So when you do it and you hit, you're going to set and literally pull them back. Because what this is also doing, they're going to see your Christmas tree and all that good stuff.
okay.
And lock it in, right?
Sweet,
and the
okay.
reason why, and I didn't mention this is something I should have mentioned at the beginning, movement, right? Even though they're standing relaxed poses, the movement draws the judge's eyes to you, right?
Okay.
So if I think about it, let me just put it like this. If I'm like this, and I don't move too much, right? And I just stay like that, as opposed to if I'm here and I...
So you literally want to make it look pretty, kind of.
Exactly. And what that's going to do is they're going to look at you.
Like I've seen pictures of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff like that, where he's like in like ballerina.
And that's because the thing is you want to accentuate the flows of your physique, and you want those beautiful movements to draw the eyes of the judges to you. Right?
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying when you do that, just remember you're turning and set up, pull those arms back. You want them to see all that definition back there and open it up.
Okay, let me try that one more time here.
Twist to the mirror just slightly. And quarter turn to your right. Lock in from the floor up. There you go. Beautiful. And lean back just a little bit. Right there. Gorgeous. Relax. So you see how tired you're
Dude,
getting?
yeah.
So now...
I should forgot the breathing too.
Yes.
The breathing.
And now think about this. Imagine doing that at 3%, 4% body fat, completely depleted and dehydrated.
Yeah.
You know? So like that's why people like, I know people don't say that bodybuilding is more of a pageantry and it's not really a sport. And I understand where they're coming from, but at the same degree, having this much control over your body for this extended period of time, I think does qualify as a sport. It is physically exhausting. And I tell you, I've done powerlifting and bodybuilding both. I wake up just as sore from both equally.
Really? Wow.
From flexing on stage in that depleted state, I wake up the next morning so sore because you really don't realize how hard you're squeezing, especially when you're all amped up and you're on stage and people are rooting for you, you know? You don't realize, man, I was really crunching down on those things. And you wake up and you're like, I am sore. You know?
So as a final thing for this video, should we put it all together now?
Yes. So we're going to go all the way around. So I'm going to go from front relaxed, quarter turn to your right, quarter turn to your right, and then I'll quarter turn to my right.
Damn, dude.
Quarter turn to your right. And that'll be a full round of quarter turns. So
dude, everything about your physique is crazy, but your traps, man. I swear, your traps are
I appreciate that, bro.
Wild.
Let me see. I'm going to have you run through it.
And then on the front one, are my feet closer together than on the back?
Yes.
Okay.
So that and it's just slightly, you know, and the reason being is because you want that quad.
Ah, yeah, okay, the quad, yeah, that makes sense. So try to get tight, a little bit on the toes.
Open that front, relax up. There you go. Lift that chest a little more. Right there. Quarter turn to your right. Good. Lock in. Keep that waist nice and tight. Move it back. Hard. There you go. Quarter turn to your right. Pull those arms back. Big row and open it up. Good. There you go. Keep those glutes active. Quarter turn to your right. Good. You did better on that one than I did. I stepped too far forward. Good, good, good. Lift up that chest a little more. There you go, right there. And quarter turn to your right. Facing that front. Feet together, out, build up, toes, and up. Beautiful. Just a slight adjustment. Bring this elbow forward a little bit more. That's going to give you a little bit more delt cap. Beautiful. And relax. So those are your 4 quarter turns.
Sweet. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you. Next time we'll do the front lat spread. So we will walk into that next time. Again, these videos are going to be a little bit more extensive, a little bit more in depth because of what it takes to explain the poses. So again, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
I really appreciate you.
I really appreciate it, man. And I can't wait to do another one.
Sweet, man. Heck yeah. Thank you, Joseph.